Although farming has changed throughout the decades, farmers still have to make the most of any good weather during harvest time. In the northeast of Scotland, harvest was also known as Hairst time. This often means starting work in the early hours of the morning and continuing long into the night to get the harvest in. Again, in the northeast of Scotland, starting work was known as yoking time and finishing was lousing time. The main crop grown and harvested up until the late 1970s in the northeast of Scotland was oats. Back in the 1930s, 1940s and 1950s, some farmers cut this crop with a scythe and was then gathered into sheaves. Other farmers had a small reaper pulled by one horse. There was also a larger reaper that needed 2 horses. It was common to see fields of stooks, which is a group of sheaves together, and harvest lasted from about 4 to 6 weeks. Binders soon became common on some of the larger farms. They were self-knotting. This cut out the manual labour of gathering and tying the sheaves by hand. The attached photograph from the 1970s shows my father on the binder and myself on the tractor at work in the field. The stooks were then removed from the field by a cart and taken to the corn yard where rucks were built. Each ruck was the same height, same width and the same distance apart. Room had to be left between the rucks to allow the threshing mill to operate. Nowadays, modern machinery makes harvest time much shorter. Combine harvesters can cut many acres of crops such as barley and wheat in just a few hours. The grain is transported to the farm in grain carts where it is dried and stored, ready to be used as cattle feed or sold on for malting. The straw is baled and used as winter feed for animals. In centuries past, people would take advantage of the so-called free harvest, using the fruits and nuts from the trees and plants around them whenever they were in season. Folk still had to be inventive in the ways they would try to preserve the fruits in order for them to last through the winter months when other foods would be scarce. Coppicing of trees was common to ensure their continued growth and provision of seeds, fruit and timber. Let's take a look at some of the trees that would have been used in Scotland. Steeped in superstition, the rowan, or rodden as it is known locally in the northeast, has long been seen as a sacred tree in Scotland and was often planted at the front of houses to deter evil spirits from crossing the threshold. It is a hardy tree that can be found growing on the most inaccessible rock ledges and in steep gorges, which, along with the shape of its leaves, has earned it the alternative name of mountain ash. The flowers provide nectar to many insect species, while the berries are a valuable food source for birds and small mammals. The berries may also be used to make wine and rowan berry jelly. An accompaniment usually eaten with game is still made in Scotland today. The elder is quite a short-lived but very useful tree, and nearly every part of it was once used medicinally. The leaves and stems are strongly purgative, the berries were used to heal sore throats, and the flowers were used to make ointments to treat burns and to help with skin complaints. Today the flowers and berries are used commercially to make cordials, syrups and wine. Elder twigs, which are easily hollowed out, have been used to tap other trees for their sap. The tap, or boor, meaning hollow, gives rise to the other name for elder, boor tree. Freshly cut foliage is foul-smelling and was once used as an insect repellent by cattle drovers and woodsmen. By comparison, elder flowers are very fragrant and provide a valuable source of nectar and pollen for insects. The flowers are among a number of other plants that were once used to treat the ailments of farm animals. Today, some companies again are offering these as alternative treatments to farmers for their livestock. The hazel is a small, multi-stemmed tree or shrub which grows in the understory of woods. Hazel is of high wildlife value, with more than 100 insect species having been recorded feeding on the trees, and the nuts are a source of food for a number of animals including squirrels and jays. When managed by coppicing on a 7 to 10 year rotation, hazel produces lots of straight poles or rods, which are useful for making, among other things, baskets, tool handles and walking sticks. Scotland's first settlers, the Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, collected thousands of protein-rich hazelnuts for their winter food store each year, and remains of hazelnut shells have been found in many archaeological digs from this period in the Hebrides and along the west coast. The white flowers of the shrubby hawthorn tree appear in May, giving rise to its other name of May tree. The berries, or haws, may be used in the preparation of jams and jellies, but were once also eaten raw, apparently having a nutty taste. Hawthorn has been used by man for centuries as a hedging plant to enclose fields. Its quick growth and dense thorny structure are excellent at keeping livestock from straying. In its natural state, hawthorn is a species of the woodland edge or scrub habitat. Thorny scrub is a much maligned habitat these days, often considered worthless and is cleared away by farmers and foresters, but is actually a very valuable wildlife habitat which is now becoming scarce. The thorny bushes provide protected nesting places for many birds and small mammals, and the thorns deter browsing by cattle, horses and deer, allowing more palatable species like oak to germinate and grow under their protection. The last tree we will look at is the most common native tree in Scotland. The birch, or birk as it is locally known in the northeast, is a pioneer species, colonising bare areas of ground and enriching the soil, which in turn allows other species to grow and flourish. From early times, birch trees have been associated with renewal and purification. In Celtic celebrations of their new year, birch twigs would be bundled together and used to sweep out the spirits of the old year. Birch brooms or besoms are still used today by some gardeners. The birch tree was very valuable in the Highlands, and the timber was used to construct houses there, as well as furniture and tools. The bark of the tree could be used in place of candles and has also been used to make shoes, containers and for fire lighting. In farming, rope would be made from twisted birch bark and used to tether livestock. We've reached the end of our brief history of the harvest and farming and nature. Thank you for joining us, and as we say in the northeast of Scotland, hist you back.